Here for our grand final matchup with Fnatic EU going up against Team Empire. Of course, Team Empire coming off their win at ESWC, and Fnatic actually just coming off their win up against Evil Geniuses in the D2CL. How will it all go out in this best-of-3 grand final? Let's find out together. Over the draft we go, and I can welcome in my co-caster. He joined me for most of yesterday, and we'll get to have him come back again today. It's our man from America. It is B-Ballin, man. Welcome back again for another day.
Thanks a lot. It was a great time yesterday. It was so much action with these games. So this is the grand finals, Empire versus Fnatic. Both teams rather consistent these days. Fnatic have been consistently losing to sort of Alliance and Na'Vi, although they have beaten them, I think, before their recent losses. Meanwhile, Empire, I think the last time they played some really cream of the crop top tier teams such as Na'Vi and Liquid was October 24th, according to the JoinDota rankings. So it's been a while, but I'm sure they're glad to face some very tough tier competition in this final match.
And it would be a horrible match if you're like, oh, so who are we going up against tonight? Well, it's up against some tier 3 unknown team and winners of ESWC Team Empire. Yeah. Happy to have Fnatic versus Empire. Happy to have Fnatic versus Empire. While there might be other games going on, we get to enjoy our corner of the world, peoples. So we'll have Fnatic so far in the bans and picks as Scandal. Fnatic's the only team this happens up against. Pugner as well as Lich being banned out. And then in return, Pugner as well as Wisp, Lich as well as Batrider being banned out here by Fly. So these two teams know each other so damn well. Of course, by Scandal banning out the Wisp, Era gets his signature and really most successful hero of all time, the Lifestealer. Him, like Lifestealer and Era are like brothers.
No doubt about that. I think in TI3, Era probably had the most dominant Lifestealer performance, well, along with Havost, I suppose, and Loda. But interesting Pugna ban. I actually have never seen Fnatic run Pugna these days. Usually these days they like to run more of some more stable mids, some mids who can transition a bit better into the mid to late game. Not that Pugna can't do that, of course, but Pugna is sort of, if he doesn't get out to a good start, it's a little bit difficult for him to fall back. And actually, from what I did watch of the D2CL matches, and from what we saw yesterday, Fnatic has a heavy tendency to pick up Invoker in their first 3 picks for Ahani, and he doesn't go for Midas, he goes for Orchid, into Travels, into Ags, into AC. So we'll see if Empire respects that in the second ban phase and decides to eliminate Ahani's Invoker.
There's actually something to it. I don't know if you caught the interview at the end of that matchup, but I was having a chat to Trixie about just life, universe, and everything. And he was basically saying with Fnatic, they just pick a strat, and it works. So they keep picking it until it stops working. And they go to another strat, which then works.
That makes so much sense. If you think about last year when Fnatic really came onto the scene, they were the ones who really patented the Wisp CK, and keep on Empire were the ones who invented Wisp CK. But Fnatic really made it roll, and that's how they won the Frag by Thor Open in December last year. And that's when they really started taking control of the European scene at that moment. So, I mean, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
It's one way to look at it, man. Venoman's going to come up here from Fnatic, so we've got really 2 crazy double slows coming up from Fnatic. Even though the range of the open wounds was changed, Venoman's from a Lifestealer. The potentials for aggression is very high here. And Fnatic, now they're going to be taking out the Doombringer. A direct counter towards the Lifestealer might also then just throw into our minds the Timbersaw, which has been selected. The last 2 games which we saw coming out from Trixie ended up playing the Clockwork as well. So he'll have to try something different. It could be the Timbersaw for him. It could also be his other favorite hero of late, which was the Nature's Prophet. So split push, ability to jump in with Lifestealer, and then you still get the mid solo. And so I've got a feeling we're not going to be looking at a Invoker in the middle lane today, unless it is someone who has got a jumping ability or an invis maneuver ability, because Lifestealer needs a piggyback. So I'm feeling a Storm Spirit or what was going to be a Puck, but already banned out by Scandal.
Yeah, but Era is a different sort of breed of Lifestealer. He doesn't really need to initiate. He actually just gets the items and then fights with his team immediately. He doesn't really need to have that initiation, of course, with the Lifestealer. It's always nice to have that initiation. But Era is sort of very similar to Vost, where when he picks Lifestealer, he just goes in ASAP. So, I mean, Invoker wouldn't be too out of the ordinary, but Empire, respecting Hani's Invoker, going to get rid of that. But yeah, I just want to go back to the Timbersaw point. Timbersaw is actually, I think, the most commonly picked hero in this version, and so far he's made it through both the ban phases and the first pick phase without being considered And Fnatic, they do have an option for their long laners, so Timbersaw is definitely an option, but again, if you watch the end of the Hehe versus Fnatic matchup, you saw Trixie's Nature's Prophet was, well, it was otherworldly, to put it bluntly.
It was good. You know, that's good. I rewatched that VOD again later on. All VODs, by the way, available on youtube.com/JoinDota, as well as right here on the Twitch channel. And if you are worried that your friends won't be watching this game live, they can watch the rebroadcast later or check out the VOD. So no worries about it there. They're all uploaded within 2 hours of the completion of the last match. Maximum. They're normally before that. Twitch VODs are actually almost instant. Enigma. I get to be a happy man. I get Enigma, we get a jumping clockwork, we get a Visage. I'm still wondering exactly what synergy they'd want to have, either with the carries. So if we're looking at like a Quap coupler with her burst damage in the area of effect, or if there's meant to be other things, because normally that you get a Visage, okay, that's great. Are we just waiting for Enigma to control them for a while? Or like, what are we really looking at here? I'm not seeing a Jakiro. I'm not seeing a big area of effect damage, especially when we go with the Clinks pickup. So we're definitely looking at a more of a greedy style of Enigma inside the jungle, hunting later on with the Clinks and Clockwork together, and then Visage. It almost feels like they're just the push team. They're just take down the towers when we can, use your minions, and just make it so.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some very strong push heroes. Clinks, of course, as you all know, probably one of the best heroes in terms of bringing down towers. Enigma, probably the best early game pusher with Shannon and Enchantress. Although Venomancer will make that a bit more difficult with those Plague Wards, and of course Swarm just makes a little bit more annoying for Empire. But if you saw the Speed Gang versus Empire matchup, you saw that, I mean, usually when we say the MVP is, more often than not, people go for supports because they are often underappreciated. But in the Empire versus Speed Gang game, I do believe it was actually Silence Clinks that was the MVP because he constantly picked off the Rubik, and of course Speed wanted to push his 5. So having that Rubik killed off was just such a tremendous boost in terms of Empire getting themselves back in the game, and that allowed them to actually win the game. And Clinks does do pretty well against Lifesteer. If he managed to get a fast Orchid, he could even potentially shut down the Weaver. So I'm really liking the Clinks pickup here, and Enigma with Clockwork can do a pretty good job in terms of zoning out the Lifesteer, but this Bounty Hunter pickup, if he goes in the jungle to try to disrupt Enigma's early game CS, although it's a bit more difficult add-ons compared to Chen Creeps, then Enigma could have a bit more of a difficult time than previously anticipated, because Enigma, as we all know, the fastest jungler in Dota 2.
Yeah, he is really, really quick, man. The bounty hunter will cause issues for him, but more importantly, the bounty hunter is there to cause issues in all 3 lanes. When Fnatic do this kind of thing, they'll start with bounty and Veno on top, and then Veno will be left behind. So these supports get a lot of farm and a lot of levels very quickly. Let's get babysat through the first point of it all. And then is Hani on that bounty, Trixie on the bounty hunter, and just start rotating himself around. Era will be on the bottom lane farming up more than likely. They could do it the other way around, where you put Lifesteal +1 up on the top, then bounty +1 on the bottom lane. And then the Weaver, because you get a bounty versus Clockwork 1-on-1. I'm never a massive fan of bounty hunter going up against that, because it's a really rough lane for him if he gets caught inside cogs with battery assault. With a supporter behind him, he should be okay, but you can't have an Enchantress, you can't have a Chen, not with the Clinks on the field. So I'm interested to see who's going to be the last support hero to go into this Fnatic lineup, but it should be some good, quick, easy rotations from Fnatic, looking at all lanes, searching for the Enigma, but more importantly, shutting down that mid and possibly ganking up the Clinks.
Well, Fnatic, with the last ban of Nightstalker's really fallen out of favor. Everybody thought that when 6.79 came out, Nightstalker would be the first ban hero along with the Lich, but he's really fallen out, and because First Night hits at 4 minutes rather than 6 minutes, he really doesn't have as much time. But Fnatic, respecting the power of Nightstalker in the early game, gonna get rid of him. One thing that I am a bit worried about for Fnatic is once Enigma gets BKB, what do Fnatic do in teamfights to shut him down? They don't have anything at the moment until Lifesteer gets an Abyssal Blade, so I don't know, they're going to need to get something that goes through initiation, and even if he doesn't get BKB, there's only a Shuriken toss that can interrupt the Enigma's channeling ability. So Fnatic, they often pick lineups that don't have any disables. They have a good amount of slow and a good amount of chasing power, but a lack of disables against heroes like Clinks, Enigma, Dragonite, even Visage to a certain extent can really come back to bite them. So, I don't know, this last pick up of Fnatic, they're going to need disable, because if Bounty Hunter is the only way to cancel a black hole, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble once the mid game comes.
I'm waiting for the Beastmaster last pickup just to make it easier. Because
Yeah, or something like Avenge. Those are the old school sort of
mm,
anti-Enigma heroes, but
but they're looking for a core right now. I think I said support before, but they're looking for a core as their last one. It's the mid solo. It's Harney's hero right now is the last one they're searching for, and they're going to go instead of going for the disable to stop the Enigma black hole. They're going to go with something which will disable it later on, and that'll probably be the side device coming up from the co-op, or we just go straight up Orchid for Queen of Pain. Either way, very strong laner in the early stages of the game. Never always going to win up against a DK, but as I said before, with the bounty rotation, it can really be a ruthless lane. And No-Tail is actually on the bounty hunter, so they're going to let Trixie play the Weaver on the off lane instead. And yeah, rightly so, because we ended up going core heavy.
yeah, I mean, this Queen of Pain, like you mentioned, doesn't really have any innate disables, but she builds into an Orchid, she builds into a Hex. And look for Fnatic just to never allow Empire to actually group up as five, because if that happens, then Enigma and Dragon Knight can just go to work with their Eidolons, with the Elder Dragon form, and then just start pushing as soon, or even before Bounty Hunter's level 6, Fnatic will just probably start ganking all over the map. Look for Aaron, not even to sit in the lane to farm as much. Yeah, he'll probably farm his phase, maybe even his drums, maybe a couple components of the armlet, or maybe a Midas, although I really doubt it in this game. I don't think Midas is the correct way to go. And Era, I don't know if he necessarily, yeah, he builds Midas on Lifestealer, but very early on, look for Fnatic to just be super aggressive and try to shut down the Enigma as well as the Dragon Knight ASAP, because once those heroes start to get a foothold, Enigma with the mech building towards a BKB, Dragon Knight building towards that BKB, Clink's building towards an Orchid. Once they start grouping up as five, Fnatic really don't have anything to stop them.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But if they don't build up, then Empire's in a lot of trouble. Clinks can't snowball,
Yeah, that's
Visage can't keep familiars up, Enigma can't find any jungle to farm up, and the hope to get a black hole won't happen unless he's got items. A Clockwork jump-in's can be great, but he can just be turned and nuked on. And DK, after your dragon form's gone down, not really as intimidating as you kind of hope. And heroes like Weaver already love going up against DKs. And if Trixie does get anywhere near a Desolator, then already DK's in trouble. If Lifestealer kind of feels the desire for it too, he can go armored into Deso. The Quap with an Orchid can also shut down the DK. I'm not really feeling Enigma's Black Hole is the primary issue here, because I'm not feeling that Empire can get the initiation in with the Black Hole. It's going to be a rough time, and they need a lot of space to give that Enigma farm. He can obviously farm up, he could have bounty hunter roaming. So I kind of feel like Fnatic have all the points covered as far as their draft goes, and Empire's got potential, but it's definitely got some big requirements for it.
Yeah, Empire, once they group up, then it's going to be difficult for Fnatic, but if Empire is separated, then Fnatic can just walk all over them. And look for, I mean, if you look at Fnatic's very early game lineup, then this Dragon Knight is just going to be in so much trouble. I really feel for this Dragon Knight, since there's a roaming Veno, and No-Tail's playing the bounty, so look for him to roam in very early on. And Quap versus Dragon Knight, I mean, Dragon Knight, once he hits level 6, he should have the advantage, and Quap, I mean, she can't really penetrate through that armor super easily, but Empire don't really have the best gank supports. Enigma wants to get that jungle online, Visage wants to get levels, because until he hits level 2, he won't really have that soul assumption if he takes Grave Chill at level 1. And meanwhile, right from the get-go, Fnatic can just go in on that Dragon Knight, and this won't be a good lane for Scandal, and usually Empire, they really need to rely on Scandal until Silent gets that farm online, so it's going to be a tricky time. It will really depend on how these wards are placed to try to protect Scandal in this middle lane.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that too, because No-Tail's already coming up with those said wards. And he'll walk past Silent, just say, well, he won't say anything because he's currently invis, but had to refresh his invis too. And the pings are coming out, just letting him know that someone is around here. So No-Tail, if he plants this ward down, he's going to reveal himself, so he's hiding in the tree line. They throw a sentry ward down, searching for him, but No-Tail still going to be there, plants the ward and jumps back out. If he should not walk right, he walked right. Maleficus doesn't want to do it, but he leveled it up anyway. He's got to get west. There's the line. He's on the other side of it. He's invis. They throw the dust off, slowing him down as well. He's only got one small eel, but he's got no trees to use it on. First blood goes to Always Want to Fly. He doesn't, however, have any conversions for this first level, which means his jungling has just been completely crippled at the expense of, well, you picked up a bounty hunter, but he's got no creeps to go with anyway.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky time for Always Want to Fly. I mean, he's going to have to do some pulls. You can't really, I mean, you can sort of gank with level 1 Maleficus, but then if you do that and you get level 2, then you well, he has 4 clarities, but look for him just to pull. Although this will sound his jungle, like you previously mentioned. And meanwhile, we are going to see No-Tail just camp out the mid lane for a bit. In fact, he's going to rotate to the bottom lane, try to do some pulls. Mag versus Lifestealer. Arrow won't really be stopped in terms of farm, although, again, Mag will just drain his mana and just be a big nuisance. And you can see he's already used Cogs to try to block off the creep wave as best he possibly can. But he just slow down the creep wave at that. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Trixie and Fly. This is such an annoying dual lane to go up against, but if there is a dual lane that can do alright, Clinkz being incredibly difficult to kill and Visage just being annoying as all hell. I mean, this is a decent dual lane as well. So, the mid lane, it's gonna be lost by Empire, but if they can manage to recover from their early game jungling snafu, I suppose, then they could potentially sort of turn things around, considering their strength of their early lanes are not that bad.
Mm-hmm. And Mag's in trouble on this bottom lane. And he kind of knows it too. There's your open wounds from Era. He doesn't have rage because he went defeats as well as the open wounds to start with. So Mag, now the battery assault, Cogs, he's just far enough away we can push Era back, but he's got a bigger problem right now. No-Tail's rotated up. His first attack cancels off the south. The battery assault's about to wear off, and Mag, he goes down, he buys a TP scroll, and No-Tail, there's Cogs. Mag, he's expecting No-Tail to be on top of him right now, but he ends up wasting the time. Era comes in. No-Tail comes in through the front end. He's going to body block and try and just hold Mag there for another open wounds. And now Mag dead in the bottom lane. They even just leave it. No-Tail left as long as he could to allow Era to get that last hit in. So there's already revenge coming the way of Fnatic with a kill on the bottom lane.
Man, that was kind of a mistake by Mag, because if he just straight up TP'd instead of Cogs TPing, he would have had enough mana to actually use the TP. And Arrow is actually sort of near the first opening towards the jungle, so he was really not that close to the Clockworks, but Clockwork still felt the need to Cog and then try to TP, but of course at that point he didn't have enough mana. So right now Arrow is getting up to trademark Arrow style on the Lifestealer, and we'll see what he decides to go for. Picks up the straight up boost rather than going for something like Midas, and this goes back again to when Arrow plays Lifestealer, he wants to fight ASAP, but all the while on the top lane, looks like Clinkz and Visage were enough to kill out the Venomancer. Level 2 Visage, considering Venomancer's squishy nature, is more than enough to bring that hero down.
Can't surprise her that managed to happen. I was checking it out before, and the amount of life points on a Venomancer was good. He threw out Gales, he was harassing him back. It didn't really feel like a lane where you should have somebody dying. But then again, Mag on the bottom lane too, with a high level of control when you got Cogs and hiding in tree lines, you also expect, shouldn't be able to die either. But Trixie is not having a great time. You talk about Venomancer being squishy. Trixie just took one searing arrow to the face and drops by about an eighth of his life points. And that's just a little bit too much. Scandal in the middle lane. I wonder if he's feeling some problems because No-Tail's rotating. And No-Tail actually walks straight past Scandal. He's coming into the jungle. He's searching for the Enigma. And he's going to find him too.
Yeah, just going to plan to ward, try to block off the jungle spawn, and really slow down Enigma's jungle even more than before. And now we see the rotation, and this is what I was fearing for Scandal before, as level 3 Bounty Hunter has that Janata. And, well,
Sting and Gale. Look at that movement speed. A flat 100 right now. And Fly, well, he's got enough damage, but Queen of Pain wants to ensure the last hit. Lets off a level 1 Scream. That's a level 2 Shadow Strike coming out from Hani there.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting build, because with the Shadow Strike nerf, people still only now put 1 point, but it looks like Hani wants to get that extra bit of lane control, and that definitely helped to pay off. I think they would have gotten the kill anyway, but with the roaming Bounty Hunter in the off lane, well, he's supporting in the bottom lane. Usually you don't expect him to be level 3 at this point, but Fly could be in a bit of trouble. Gonna get the clarity cancelled onto No-Tail, but he will just Shadow Walk on out of there. But again, this is when this sort of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, Scandal. Once he supports roam, he really can't do anything, considering Empire supports don't really have the best counter-kicking mechanisms.
Yep. And right now, Scandal, where's that Janata attack? There are flies. Hani evades the Breathe Fire and then the level 2 of harassment in. And I actually completely agree with Hani's level 2 up in this, because for the main reason, he's not looking to burst damage down Scandal when they attack him. They use the Invis initiation of No-Tail anyway, who just could have Breathe Fire. But he needs level 2 to try and counteract the Dragon Blood. Without it, you may as well not even level it up, but you may as well go the 4 points up in the Scream instead.
Meanwhile, Trixie has found a little bit of room, only to 11 CS, but, I mean, he's level 5, so he has that 3 points to Shikuchi. That makes killing him so much more difficult. But all the while, Silence farming up, only level 4, but he already has 2 components of the first Oblivion Staff, and mid lane is continuing to be camped, but now we're going to see rotation by Vanscore, trying to see if there is any teleport ganks coming through. But this bottom lane is what I'm really worried about for Empire. Era, usually Clockwork versus Leicester, I mean, Era would have free farm anyways, but now Clockwork can't even get into range with those phase boots online.
Uh-huh. Phase boots, orb, you come in range, you're toast. You're absolutely toast. Battery assault won't save you when you got 2 levels up in rage. It's not long enough to survive the entire battery assault, but it's enough time to do a lot of damage. And meanwhile, in this top lane, like Weaver, he hasn't been shut down as much. Like, there's no deaths in the back of this Weaver. He's picked up 13 for 2 and almost found level 6. Silence sitting around 4 levels in. He's rushing an Orchid for himself, so there's going to be, like, Orchid, Treads, Ring of Aquila kind of style. If he wants to try and go that and leaves his options open for that too. But right now, Silent, he knows how much farm he requires and knows how quickly he needs to rotate out. And Mag, okay, he's not looking too healthy there. I didn't see what the hell brought him down that low, but Mag definitely injured on the way back to base.
Just right clicks, like you mentioned, as this Leicester is just going in on this clock, and there's really nothing Clock can do, as Hani does manage to ball up an illusion rune, and now that's even more control over the mid lane. Dragon Knight, again, he's being kept down quite hard, and he always has to be careful about those rotation ganks, but there is a Sentry Ward now to spy out the Bounty Hunter, so No-Tail can't just run it through, so...
Sorry, Hani just misclicked, and that's not helping him out at all. By using that Scream, he doesn't have a combination anymore for the blink into ulti into Scream. At the same time, No-Tail is rotating in towards that middle lane after he picked up the illusion rune, meant to pop the illusion rune.
I think with the Bracer now, Dragon Knight should be okay unless Venomancer comes in, because he has a Sentry Ward as well. But again, this is just more about control of the mid lane. And at this point, with these ganks not really working out, oh, he's going to get the Janai hit off onto the curb, but did he miss a second hit? No, it just didn't do any damage. That Bounty Hunter right click without the Janai doesn't do that much. But now, with No-Tail's ganking efforts sort of coming to a close, he should probably just go into the jungle, get some pulls going, and hit that level 6.
Yeah. But that's not the way No-Tail plays this, or Fnatic play this. He doesn't need to go pulling jungle. He goes and finds kills. At all times, you sacrifice the Bounty Hunter. That's what it comes down to. You sacrifice the Bounty Hunter to a point where your carries are just so damn powerful they can take over anybody. But the issue I'm feeling is top lane. Always want to fly. He said he needed some, Silent, Trixie. He may even have a crack at this one. Dust will pop. Maleficent always going to fly. It's worth a black hole for him. He's in range of it too. Familiars, however, with the damage, there is actually no Familiars. It's just the soul assumption from Vanskor. They pick off the Weaver. He got very over-aggressive.
Scandal in the mid lane.
Middle lane. Quality flies. Connects on the Mag too. Picking up the DK. And the Cogs keeping Vanskor out of the middle lane too.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a very good usage of Black Hole, because in the early game, Black Hole, you just want to use it to pick up those solo kills against a Weaver who probably wouldn't be killed without it anyways. Definitely worthwhile. But again, Dragon Knight being kept down, and Hani's getting out to a remarkable start, has 2 nulls. Bit atypical, but that just, again, controlling the middle lane, just really annoying the heck out of this Dragon Knight who can't do anything except walk forward, breathe fire, and maybe go for 1 right click per wave, and that's it. But I mean, this just seems like a very strong laning build for Hani. He's a bit tankier than he otherwise would be, and he has a lot of damage to work around with. And all the while, Era already level 8 phase boots, and he has something delivered to him already. It is a finished drums 8.5 minutes in, 8 minutes 50 seconds in rather.
Hey, he's looking good for that, man. At the same time, I'm seeing almost a full mech for the Enigma. It's both the buckler as well as the headdress coming out. And Silence walking around, almost finishing up his second Oblivion stuff. So there'll be about a 10 to 11 minute Orchid coming the way of the Clinks. So then we'll watch his rotations at the same time. Era, he only needs the Invis, the Bounty Hunter, to rotate around. So when he's ready, they'll go ganking.
And I like what Trixie's doing quite a bit. He's going to go back into Midas, and Midas, it's not just an item to get ahead, it allows you to catch up. And with Empire not pushing down any towers, I think Trixie will have more than enough time to actually catch back up with that Midas. So a very nice purchase. I mean, if Empire pushing down towers a bit earlier, then this Midas probably wouldn't be that worth it. But Silent, again, only about 500 gold away from finishing that Orchid. So if he manages to spot out Weaver, Weaver is definitely toast. But No-Tail going to rotate in as the time lapse will be used. Silent should be a bit careful, though. No-Tail is only level 5.
Yeah, they don't have a track available either on No-Tail. He's going to come in, attack on Silent. Silent just went Invis. They'll pop the dust. There's Shuritos level 2, and the attack from the Gemnate is not going to be enough to get the kill. And now Lifestealer pops out, but Trixie Soul Assumption damage down. Vanskor again there at the right time, and the birds start to get summoned. They
Yeah,
all had to back themselves up.
I don't know if it was the Clink's move speed or the slight nerf to Infest, as now Infest does have a 0.2 second cast point, which is a little bit less than instant, which it was before. Lifesteal, of course, had a lot of instant abilities, but that was corrected to a certain extent. And that's a little bit of a costly rotation. They lost the Weaver, and they forced the rotation by the safe lane hero, the Lifestealer. And of course, Era, he wants to fight, but having a rotation come to essentially nothing is a bit annoying, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. I'm watching middle lane. I don't think Silent realizes, or he might in a moment. He has to back up to go invis again in a moment, but there's a sentry ward that's sitting up the high part of the river for the Radiant side, and there's one sitting on the lower part of the river. So they both have invis detection in the middle lane. It's just this weird crossover of where the wards are.
And, well, here comes the familiars. I don't think they'll actually be able to set up a kill right here, and the lanes are getting back to normal. But I just want to point out Fly's skill build. A lot of Venomancers these days just get 1 point to Gale, get that a lot of points into Poison Sting so that the wards do a lot of damage, and of course max the wards so they can tank up. But Fly is going for very much an old school Venomancer build, and keep in mind Gale, even though it was nerfed for level 1, still does a lot of damage when you manage to get enough levels into it. So level 3 Gale will do a significant chunk of damage over time if he manages to connect. As here comes the mid lane push, and I don't know if Fnatic can actually stop this.
Nope, they have to bring in a lot more heroes than they've got. They're trying to pull the aggro down, which they do with a Shuri toss. But with the army of conversions as well as 2 familiars, the tower cannot be denied. Era's going to be on this bottom lane trying to bring down the tier 1. He hasn't finished the job just yet, but with the Dragon form up, Empire can just keep going. They don't need to stop. They don't need to have this game go until very, very late game. You've already got a full mech up on that Enigma as well as a Soul Ring. You'll just keep the conversions coming up. The Black Hole's available. And what do we got from Honey? BTs? Oh. He's not ready to fight yet. This is Honey's standard. Honey will do this time and time again. Silence in here with an Orchid. Going to get galed up. Actually, he doesn't always want to fly in too, but the Dragon Tail's starting over on Fly, and now in comes Era. Focuses on Scanner, but the Black Hole's going to pull Era back in again. It's going to get cancelled. Infest in, Infest out. Conversion damage is not enough. Quap throws the ulti out with the Scream as well. Picks up the Enigma and the DK. And Era is away to safety. Honey's up on the higher ground. He's got 13 wand charges available to him right now. And Mag is still sitting waiting for a hook shot in. Sees no tail in the middle. He's not going to jump it, though.
That's a huge... Well, not a huge victory, but that's a sizable victory for Empire. Even though they did lose one of their cores in the Dragonite and lost the Enigma, they managed to get the tier 2 very early on. They managed to kill the Weaver once again, so even though he does have a catch-up item, that's still going to be very annoying for the Weaver to actually have an impact in this game. And again, Empire showed the power of once you group up his 5, Fnatic can't do anything, especially since Fly did go for this very aggressive ganking build, which I think would be very effective if Fnatic were to gank, but Empire just playing very defensive for the most part. And they have a mobile hero in the form of Clinks, and Enigma, who's always in jungle. Dragonite needs more than one person to gank him down, so I mean, I understand why Fly went this build, but now that Empire is sort of grouping up, he might be reconsidering it. He might just say, well, why did I go for this build? Why not get more points in the Plague Wards?
Nah, this is the way Fly does it, man. He did the same thing in the D2CL earlier this evening. It was exactly the same build coming out from him. So see, I'm not against that. I'm not against that. I like the DPS coming out.
You understand the game plan. He wants to gank, but I don't know if Empire just realized this, then they won't let that happen. But, I mean, you definitely understand the rationale. It makes sense.
Plague Wards go. The bugs are flying out too. There's only familiars as well as conversions in there. And Clockwork, well, there's a latch. And he went in on top of Fly, going to get galed up. It looks like Fly also kind of freaked out throughout his ultimate. So Mag is sitting very, very low on life. As they're trying to de-ward out conversions versus conversions. And the Sentry Wars are just out of range of each other as well. Again, this keeps happening.
Meanwhile, Clinks is going to go straight into a Chrysalis, it looks like, as he already finished his tread, has a Blades of Attack online, and once Clinks gets that, he can pretty much solo kill anybody on the side of Fnatic, even though Leicester, if he managed to get one crit before Leicester pops that Rage, of course, with that Silence online. And meanwhile, Hani going to go for a split push build. I was a little bit dubious because they don't really have a Beastmaster Hawk or Visage Familiars, but the best way to make sure that Empire doesn't group up his 5 is just to split push, so if you think about that like that, then Hani's item build makes so much sense that it might actually get them right back into the game. But again, it might take a little bit while as Empire... Right now, the towers are not really in that much danger, so they might not fear the split push option too much just yet.
Silent wants murder. Harney's the easiest one to do this. Familiar's in the neighborhood, so
He has 14 wand charges. He can't get it.
There's a group up coming up from Empire, though, so that's one way to get it. Everybody smoke up. We've got the drums flying in, too. And we're good to go. And they're, in fact, around Roshan, so Silent. Are they really smoking just to walk into Roshan? Okay. It's one way to do it. The Observer Ward would have caught him out anyway, but I think Fnatic have kind of realized what's going on. They need to get a ward in there soon. Roshan's already at 1,800 life points. 1,100, and he's gone. The ward comes out. They see Vanscore track over onto Vanscore too. But the dewarding of the dewards, and Roshan belongs to Empire.
And this is just going to be another time for Empire to group up as 5 and start pushing down towers, and this really just mitigates the impact of Bounty Hunter, because No Tail was not level 6 at the time of the last team fight, so no track kills just yet. As, well, we'll see which lane Empire decides to push. Top lane is definitely an option with Silent up there with the max level Searing Arrows and 1 point of strength. This tower should be dead.
He's cutting across. Mag is in the neighborhood. They've got the track on him as they can see him. Open wounds. Gonna go, and with the range walks around, but Corp doesn't have to walk. She's already got the haste. She's already moving fast. Era will come down. Now Vanscore gets his high movement speed. Silence in the neighborhood too. Orchid goes over to Era. Hani might have to buy a little bit of space right now. Sees the Familiar coming in. Attacking once, attacking twice, attacking 3 times. Gets through the Familiar, and Era takes minimal damage while up on the top lane. No Tail's having a crack at Scandal. There's a rage up. Open wounds as well. And with the track movement speed, Era is just so fleet-footed. Scandal will die up here on the top lane. Nothing can stop this. He does a little bit of damage on the way down. But even Hani using his BTs to come and join the party. And they'll move into the tier 1 tower on this top lane too now.
I mean, Empire just... I think this was sort of the dawning moment where they're saying, we can't do anything solo. Because Dragonite is such an incredible tank. And there was a good 10, 15 seconds where Fnatic weren't doing anything but just running away from that mid lane. But No Tail was just camping up there, and all he was doing was waiting for 1 TP, and Dragonite does not have the DPS to bring down the tower super low. And once the teleports came in, Dragonite was pretty much finished, so... Now that Fnatic have sort of started to get their split push game going, getting their counter gank going, they're sort of in a bit better position, but the bottom lane's getting pressured. But Fnatic did get a tier 1 in the meantime.
And while Trixie's on this bottom lane too, the tower, he's going to bail. I thought for a moment he might give this a bit of a defense chance. Silence up here on the top lane. He's only got Era to attack, and that's not really someone he wants to jump on, but Fly, however, perfect target. Fly lets off a Gale, he's dead. Orchid, TPs, but 3 attacks. Even if that TP was successful, he would have popped from the Orchid damage, while the tier 1 tower goes down the bottom lane. So Fly overstaying is welcome.
A really early gem for the Clinks, as Fly did manage to pick it up. Of course, Enigma, such a fast jungler, decided to spend 900 gold, not going for that BKB, but I think he realizes there's no disables other than the Shuriken tosses. Hani goes like for a Ghost Scepter. I think he just wants to go in, try to mitigate the Clinks, and Clinks really can't kill off the Quap ever now. So, a good, smart purchase. But again, this Enigma, he doesn't even need to go for BKB, although he's picking up the Orc Club nonetheless. Still, I mean, it's not like that matters too much because he hasn't even cast his Black Hole. Again, the strength of Enigma is the threat of Black Hole and the power of the push.
Well, No Tail's about to see if he's going to test the Black Hole. Already with the track up. A bit of a Malva stun. No Tail's got Invis in a second. Scream, ulti. Hani's got it right now. The stun went on top of Era, and he's still got the clockwork. There's your Black Hole, but hit absolutely nothing from Always Wanna Fly. Fnatic was all too far back, and Marguerite jumped in way too deep. Era will mop him up. No Infest available anymore. The Soul Assumption damage. Eerie can't armlet toggle it out, but Vanscore, he's in very, very close. Another Soul Assumption damage. Picks up a double kill before he loses his life to the Bounty Hunter. He was looking for track gold and all of that. And then Silence going to solo up the top tier 2 tower.
Visage, what a hero, as he managed to pick up a double kill, pretty much 1v3 at the end. Still, he did give up a dominating streak, and again, with these sort of giant gold changes being exacted upon, that was 531 extra gold along with the track, so that is a huge boost for No Tail, as now he finishes the phase boots, has the bottle, and again, Fnatic have a very mobile, very gank-heavy lineup. But Empire have pretty much eliminated all but 2 outer towers, so looks like Silent does spot No Tail. Will he initiate? He is, but there's the invisibility.
He's got the gem. That's why he wanted the kill right now, but he didn't have mana after he started attacking to use the Orchid. It cost him too much, so he wouldn't have had the damage output if he also used the Orchid. Downside about keeping a Clinks on the front lines for so long, there's just nothing left in the tank.
Meanwhile, you can see, despite Trixie being hurt so much, he still has 86 CS, picked up an Orb Club, going to go straight into a BKB, a really smart item choice. Again, the Orchid, the Dragonite, Dragon Tail really, really necessitates the purchase of a BKB. And now you can start seeing Empire starting to scramble. Again, I was sort of extolling the virtues of Empire grouping up as 5, but at this point it's difficult for them to group up as 5 because if anybody's ever caught a position, Fnatic will jump upon them. And, I mean, if they're not grouped up, or if they are grouped up as 5, Fnatic will just push all the other lanes. So it's a bit of a tricky situation for Empire. Still, they are very much in this game. Clinks is starting to get very, very big, and he has yet to die.
They're using Scandal as bait. Mag's about to jump down. They're trying to use Scandal as some big-ass bait. No Tal will see Mag, gets a track off, and then just run. Run as quickly as you can with Phase Boost, jumps, Invis. The Rockets will fly to Scandal, have Dust, Gem, Vision, something. Nope. But Silent does. In comes the Gem. They see him in the corner. Orchid will go, and Bounty will die in the corner. He buys Sentry Wars and a TP before death. But at the same time, Honey, he's pushing up the top lane. So 5 people for Empire on the bottom lane. We've got Era as well as Fly looking to the tier 1 tower in mid. And Hani, he can come back at any point. And he's actually forcing someone from Team Empire to come back to the tier 2. And it's going to be always want to Fly.
Tier 1 tower is still at full HP, but we're going to see rotation by Silent as he's going to initiate on the Fly. Fly's taking way too much damage. He still has the Aegis online. Silent, he is going to pop the Aegis right here, right then. I think the Aegis is about to time out, so a very nice death for Silent as he picked up the kill for free, defended his tower, and all the while the bottom tower is still getting pushed in despite always want to Fly teleporting to that top lane. The Eidolon survived for such a long time that tier 2 was brought down to pretty much 1/5 HP.
It's not really a lot of damage. It wasn't what Fnatic was searching for from that trade at all. It took him too long. Now there's also going to be a haste rune going the way of Silent. Honey walks up, and now, wait, hello, Silent, you could have picked that one up. He was too busy shopping. He purchased up a BKB.
No, he had that actually before.
And now Blink jumps out. Awkward or not, the Ghost Scepter. Oh, Hardy, that's solid sum to damage. It really hurts with the Ghost Scepter. Meaning the Orc's going to finish the job. But Era had to use a hook shot there from Mag. And now there's a gem on the deck too. Trixie runs up. He wanted to steal that one. The Vanscore not going to get it. The Courier, in fact, coming in to pick it up.
No, that wasn't him shopping. That was just a mistake because he actually purchased those a while before he actually did that sort of haste rune cap. So a rare mistake by Silent as we haven't seen too many of those this tournament, but that was costly as they lost 2 for 1 as Hani more than happy to give up his life. And, well, we're going to have to see. That's going to slow down the 5-man push once again. So Empire is starting to run into a bit of a brick wall here. And Scandal, he's going to go straight into the AC, but he himself is not doing any damage. If Clinks dies, where is the damage going to come from for Empire?
Well, there's not many other places, man. TK with Dragon Form, but it's Mr. Plate Mail and Drums. He doesn't really have that damage. And always on a Fly is just basically a BKB controller. And there's not much more apart from that. No Tel's trying to get a fresh new... Okay, he's dropping it to give it directly to the Clinks underneath the tier 1 tower. And no Tel. It's amazing still he keeps putting down these sentry wards in the middle. Still kind of feel it's just so he can see if there's an observer ward from Empire. He knows the gem's going to de-ward it. They tried one before around here on the middle lane. Because Track gives him the invis. Oh, Mag. What was that? It's a creep there, Mag. It's a creep there.
Oh, the observer ward actually spotted Silent going windwalk, and that's why we're seeing a lot of pings going out for Silent. There's the sentry ward.
Get the track up. He's already popped the BKB, but the bash managed to come out from Era, and it holds Silent in position long enough for them to get the kill on the Clinks. As you get, man, now no damage.
That observer ward, man, that was a Clinks, because he windwalked underneath it. That was really unfortunate for Silent, as he's getting a bit unlucky. And now Hani has to finish Orchid. So Fnatic, despite not having the best 5-man, they're just ganking their way back into the game, despite having gold deficit. But they're going to get this tier 1 tower, because this tier 1 tower, I don't think it's going to be able to be defended right here.
It can't. And now Fnatic will also see him coming. The gem was also lost during that kill. So Hani's got invis detection, and he's going to come to bottom lane. With the BTs, they go straight on Scandal. The Orchid goes to work, and Scandal is going to pop from this. In fact, he does do so. Always going to fly TPs in. He's got a Malphus possibility, but now he does it on Era. But Era, he's back far enough. There's no Infest available, but Hani's got Orchid off cooldown 3 seconds time, and I'm pretty sure he wants to go for this. There's more support. Notal's in there. There's your Black Hole. The quad body still flew off then, but they haven't got themselves the damage to kill off Notal. He jumps Invis. Clockwork Hook shot in as well, but he's already dead. And Era, well, trying to man fight this, but not enough of a man. Venoman's rolled in the back end of play. Mag's not looking too healthy. And this gem is still with the Queen of Pain who managed to bail out of this.
Well, that was chaotic to say the least, and that was actually a very big victory for Empire because Rosh respawned 30 seconds before that battle actually happened, so Fnatic just sort of stayed back, but they did pick up an easy kill and they thought they could get away as the silence going to go down to Hani, but Hani has a Ghost Scepter, going to get out easy peasy, and this should be a relatively free Rosh. None of the other lanes are pushing in super hard, so I don't even think Fnatic can get an appropriate trade for this Rosh with Era being dead. And yeah, this is going to be a Rosh without any sort of trades for Fnatic other than just some CS.
I'm wondering if they come into contestant. Like, yeah, they don't have life.
I don't think they can
okay, no, they can't really. If Hani jumps in, he's screwed. There's no 4-star back out again. Notal might try and be sneaky, but there's Sentry Wards watching for him, and Mag, no ulti available, but it's over. Aegis the Immortal goes to Clinks. He still doesn't have his full Daedalus, though.
Yeah, he went actually back into a BKB, and he just managed to finish because he did die twice. So his farm is definitely slowed down significantly. Still, he is the hardest right-clicker in the game, although now Trixie with his own BKB can start working towards Daedalus. If he wants to go super split push, I mean, well, Daedalus is still the best choice, but I guess, I know, maybe Manta for some odd reason. And Hani can now actually start working towards some DPS items of his own. So Fnatic are still very much in this game, but it's going to be tricky because now Empire, they're having all the waves pushed out, and Dragonite is starting to become a little bit of an issue because he will have the AC on relatively soon. Clinks right-clicks super hard, and Fnatic, they really can't get too many Ghost Scepters because they also want to do some right-clicks. Only Hani and probably Fly will get those Ghost Scepters online, and Fly very close to picking up his own Ghost Scepter.
He desperately needs that too, but at the same time, he needs to find his mana pool. He needs to get Arcane Boots, or at least finish up the drums on him. There's another option as well. Because without the mana pool, he can't keep spamming out his wards. Not to mention its ulti costs half of his mana pool right now. It's 200 mana to do that. You throw out a Gale as well, you got a grand total of maybe 4 or 5, if you're lucky, wards. That's including the regeneration time. And then you're basically dry.
I think the bigger issue is he's level 9, and level 1 Poison Nova against Enigma, against a Dragonite, just doesn't do anything at this stage. And this is going to be a tower. We're going to see a teleport come in from Scandal, as he still can be killed, but with another teleport, they're definitely going to back off. So Empire are just starting to make all the right moves now, and we'll see Fnatic again have that maneuverability on the side, but they're going to really have to start running on Trixie.
His movement with that gem too, we can see Silent blink in 1 second. So it's going to be a blink to a sting, open wounds as well. Orchid out, Silent has to pop the BKB, the bash from Era. He only just got that BKB triggered up as well, which means he doesn't have a BKB to try and survive this. There's no open wounds. He tries to run away. They've still got the vision of this. Familiar stuns. Bought him the space. Hani, he needs to blink and give him that extra vision. There's the blink back in again. Meg from Always Want to Fly. Did he rune as well? Era, or is it going to be Hani? He's going to bottle this up and pick it up on his way. While a little bit further up, Trixie, he's got him all caught in. He's up high. Hani blinks in. He's been stunned up too. He's going to drop the gem right now on the deck. Mag will take it back. Black hole over onto Era, holding him in position, and there's nowhere for him to go. There's a double kill for Venticle. There's also under damage working overtime, and the Familiars as well. They grab the Weaver at the back end, and Fnatic, they're balls deep. It's basically Notal locked inside of Cogs. Is there a way to catch up? There probably is. Scandal's got very high movement speed. With the phase boost from him triggering off, he's almost in range of that Dragon Tower with the range form. They need some extra 4-star something. Nothing's there. 4-star was still on cooldown for Mag. The 4 heroes lost for Fnatic as they found themselves way too far deep in Empire's territory.
Man, that was such a good opening by Fnatic, but they just chased a little bit too far. They got the Clinks with the Aegis, and then they tried to sort of keep pursuing the issue, but unfortunately it didn't help, and this is going to be a tier 3 definitely. I don't know if it's yet going to be Rax, but with the Eidolons as well as the Dragon Form still online. Oh no, the Dragon Form's going to time out, so I don't know if this actually will be Rax.
The army of conversions may be enough with the new set going to be created by Fly.
No, without the Dragon Form, they think it's a little bit too risky, and they're going to just go with the safe play.
Just back the crap up. Now the DK's got his AC. Vanscore's picked up an Aghanim Scepter. Kind of not really that surprising considering it's a 7-1-7 Visage. He's going to be worth a lot of money,
Visage,
guys.
what a hero. Can take on heroes 1v3 in a mid-game and just transition to all aspects. So, I mean, he's a pretty good hero. And actually, in the last fight, it was pretty funny. Trixie, every arrow was black hole, but Trixie was just outside lane. She was trying to right-click desperately, but he right-clicked the Dragonite, and his attacks literally did 30 damage. It was the saddest thing I've ever seen.
I kind of want to go back to what you said about Visage, man. I still class him as a support carry. As if one of these guys that can get so much farm and be so effective that he may as well be a carry. And he was a carry back in the days.
Oh yeah, with those 7 Revenants, you just heal up with everybody with the Gravekeeper's Cloak, and those are the days where Visage was even more broken than he is now. Although now he's not really broken, he's just super, super good.
Yeah, I think Visage is balanced. The only thing which I don't think is balanced about Visage is actually the parts of Visage he summons, the birds. If they weren't magic immune to everything, can block hooks and arrows and everything else you want to throw, which, by the way, there's going to be a lot thrown at Hardy. He's up here on the top lane. If they get a black hole on him, and it's also, they should jump him. There's no black hole available. They've already killed the Queen of Pain. And Mag hook shots up, bought himself some space, and Silent sends his love to Mila with a double kill on the top lane.
Unfortunate, to say the least. Hani trying to do his split push thing, trying to prevent Empire from grouping up his 5 and then just pushing down all the towers. And, well, Empire, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or, God, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. As I'm supposed to do... Usually when I do cast with Luminous, I'm supposed to remind him of all these idioms. I'm slipping into some bad habits, but this should be Arax.
You got to remember, man, Luminous might be about the idioms. We're all about the puns. That's the JoinDota stream. It's all about the really bad puns.
And now Quink says that finished Daedalus. This will definitely be Arax with Dragon Form still having a lot of time. He's going to hit level 16 as well. Black Hole is online. Wow. They're going to take this Arax, and they're just going to back the heck out.
No, there's no way you can jump into that one. Like, it could just be a push in through the top tower as well now, because there's a DD rune sitting up here. You give that over to someone like a Clinks who's already finished up his Daedalus. No, they're not going to. In fact, Mag just gets really greedy and takes it himself and says, I need DD to farm up my remaining 940 gold, 30 gold, so he can pick up an Aghanim Scepter. Because he just picked up his 2 1k items and just needs a third.
Well, No-Tail's going to have to be careful because, again, there is a gem on the Clockwork, and he does have the hook shot. So if he ever got vision, he could potentially hook in. So you can't even go in super hard.
Dead.
Yeah,
Era's dead. There's no way to survive this. Orchid initiation. Attack the hero directly. Era is going to survive this because he can outrun the Clinks.
That was a little bit of a bit of misplaced. Silent's not having the best game, but he's definitely playing well enough that his team is very much ahead. And now Scandal, he's actually starting to hurt, and that's the biggest concern with Dragonite. When Dragonite starts to hurt, not just the towers, not just to tank up, then your team is in so much trouble. Leicester just does next to nothing to the Dragonite. Weaver with his current item set does next to nothing. Who actually does anything to this Dragonite? It's just difficult. Until he gets his BKB, then Quap is pretty much the only answer, but Dragonite's going to go for that BKB, and we're going to see a mass smoke gang coming through.
Oh, this is called How We Murder. Book written by Team Empire, published by Team Empire, distributed by Team Empire. If they can actually find somebody, and it seems like it's going to be double editioned by Fnatic of How to Escape.
Well, Fnatic, they're going to have to play Rat Dota, but they don't have Rat Dota heroes other than Quap.
They're going to BT Quap. What more do you need, man? What more do you need? He's almost finished up his site divides as well. And Empire, every single time they go around for these kills, they're using 3 or more players to do so. Which means Rat Dota actually works in this scenario. They still need some more time for Era to get his next big item up and running. He's sitting around with 3k gold. But they'll defend from the high ground.
Now Rat Dota will work because Trixie has his Desolator, but this might just be a little bit too late. Quap by herself was not enough to push super fast, but with Trixie having Desolator, he can, but again, it might just be a little bit too late because Empire, they're grouping those 5. They're going to be more than happy to trade a tier 2 for a tier 3.
Yeah, but that's if they can get the trade. No-Tail's already come back. Fly starts up the Wall of Wards, which is normally the impenetrable fortress. And with the track up, they've got vision of where the initiation is going to come. And Max doesn't have his Aghanim Scepter, so it's only going to be a 1 jump in. But Scandal, he doesn't care. He's going to man up. Fortification will be used. The wards are still cleaning off a lot of this creep wave already. Only the conversions are left. The familiars come in. Man, that's a lot of damage from familiars. With Silent as well, just sitting at the back, pounding on the towers. The courier from Fnatic's coming in. It's got the side device for Hani. They don't want to fight just yet, but it's already too late. The Weaver got picked up on the bottom lane. There's still a hook shot initiation to come in from the Clockwork. Flies in too close. He gets the ulti off and basically sacrificed his life to do so. The bottom ranks is gone. There's no reason to jump in. They even call the GG. Game was good, game was gone, but Empire's power is just uncontestable. However, they do want to contest always on a Flyer's life points, and they're not going to get him. The timer will even count out. They got caught in the black hole at the very end of it. But game one goes to Team Empire, and the defending champions looks like they may defend again and take the big prize pool. Prize pool was doubled. So there's 2,500 euro going to first place with 1,000 euro going to second position. So a lot of money still up for grabs. The bonus 1,500 is what these guys are playing for. Whew. I was actually expecting something a little bit closer than all of this.
I was just going to say at the end, Dragon Tail into Orchid means Trixie actually died in 3 hits. And that's the Weaver for you. And in the end, I think it just came back to the draft. Fnatic they went for super gank heavy lineup, and once they couldn't get the ganks on, they can't stop Empire's 5-man. So we have to see if they can change up their tactics in game 2, or if they try to do the same thing, we'll see if they can ban out heroes like the Dragon Knight, like the Enigma, and maybe in the Visage, because this Visage, like you mentioned, did so much work.
Well, the work will continue shortly. Stay tuned, people. We'll be back here with more action coming to you from the Eizo Cup. Welcome back. In a moment. Not yet. In a moment.